running, driving. Simply a means to an end for many, but not all. Not just a way of getting somewhere, not just a means of looking good.
Not just something done with purpose. Instead, something done purely for enjoyment, for the elation of escapism, for the pleasure of movement, for the feel of the ground beneath you, for the intoxication of endorphins.
Day, night, near, far, quick or slow, running, driving.
Not always a means to an end, other than enjoyment. And I think that's the ethos of the V12 version of the Aston Martin Vantage.
And this is the latest one. They're building just 333 of these at a cool £225,000 each before options.
That makes it an impressive £100,000 more than a mere V8 powered Vantage.
But I don't think you buy it because it's, well, as the kids say, a flex. Because although you and I will probably look at it and think, wow, that's fantastic with its 40mm wider tracks and bigger arches, most people, I don't think, would notice. Most people would just think you've bought the cheapest Aston. There's also the fact that perhaps the biggest distinguishing feature that most people would notice about this car is the slightly droopy rear wing, but you can have this car without it, and I think you probably should, because I think it probably looks an awful lot better, but then again it also makes it look more like that standard V8 Vantage.
Neither do I think you buy a V12 Vantage specifically for track days. It will no doubt be good on track, but this is not a GT3 competitor.
It's not even wearing Cup 2 rubber, it's wearing Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres, very much a road tyre. Neither is this massively faster, in fact, than a standard V8. Just a tenth of a second quicker to 62 miles an hour, 3.5 instead of 3.6. And although the extra 5 miles an hour on the top speed does take it to 200 miles an hour flat out, again, it's not a massive uplift, is it, for your extra £100,000?
You also don't buy this car because it's a better GT car, because it's not. It's firmer and louder and more demanding. So then, why do you buy it?
You buy it because of this. Because the engineers at Aston Martin have done something gloriously silly by fitting a 5.2 litre twin turbocharged V12 under the bonnet of the little Vantage. I like to imagine those engineers are the sort of people that try and cram just one more pair of socks into an already full sock drawer. They test the integrity of supermarket shopping bags by putting one more bottle in it just to see if it will break or not. I think they must all wander around the engineering department in jackets perhaps a little too snug. It's just fabulous. The first time they did this with a Vantage, I remember there were pipes sort of shaved just so you could actually get the bonnet shut. It's brilliant. The V12 in the Vantage. Silly, but utterly wonderful. Now obviously the engineers couldn't just bung that mighty great twin turbocharged V12 under the bonnet and, well, have done with it, because putting 690 brake horsepower and 555 pounds-foot of torque, no, it wasn't developed by ProDrive, into a car that wasn't designed to handle it wouldn't be a terribly good idea. For a start, there's all the extra weight of that engine. This weighs 110 kilos more than a standard V8 Vantage, up to 1795 kilos overall, so it's a relatively hefty car, but they have worked hard to keep that weight down.
That beautiful bonnet with the big cutout to help with cooling is also made of carbon fibre, along with the front bumper, wings and sills, while there is a composite rear bumper and boot lid, and a lightweight battery too.
Unsprung mass is helped by the fact that we've got standard carbon ceramic brakes, which save about 23 kilos. Then this car has got the optional lightweight wheels as well, which save another 8 kilos. As you can tell in here, we've got the optional carbon fibre bucket seats, which I really like. Overall, I think the interior of this car is feeling its age rather. This all looks sort of more and more cluttered every time I see a Vantage, and it just, yeah, it's not the greatest interior, but these seats I love, and I still love the driving position in this. You sit so low, which is fantastic. Also still good big paddles here as well. Also saving weight, we've got a new lightweight, very, very thin steel, so 1mm thin steel exhaust system, which saves just over 7 kilos. Sounds good too. Not quite as good as the old naturally aspirated V12, but still good.
As well as the weight, the engineers have also made some quite significant changes to the chassis setup.
So, in terms of the handling, we've got 50% firmer springs at the front, 40% firmer at the rear, although there's also a new tender spring back there to add back in just a bit of comfort. Anti-roll bars, 5% stiffer at the front, but 40% softer at the rear.
There are also 13% stiffer top mounts, while a rear strut brace, fuel tank bracing and 2 shear panels underneath increase body stiffness by 8% and lateral stiffness by 6.7%.
What that adds up to is a car that hides its mass remarkably well. I remember the early V12 Vantage, that first one, it really did feel pretty nose heavy. It was fun, but there was no doubting that there was a bigger engine up front. Now, it's so much more agile. This has the best steering of any of this generation Vantage I've tried. Really lovely and connected, more weight to it. It's fantastic. The wheels that I mentioned before, they're now 21 inches in diameter. The tyres, 275s at the front, 315s at the rear, and this has got a huge amount of grip. You might think that it would be all power and torque and kind of no handling and really pretty leery, but actually on the road it's got so much grip. You can actually use all that torque. It really punches you out of corners. The performance really can be put down on the road, which is hugely impressive. We've got 3 settings for the dampers, so we've got Sport, Sport Plus and Track. I've left it in Sport. As I've found with other Vantage, actually the most comfortable setting is absolutely fine for the road. That's what you want. Any more than that and it starts to hop and skip too much. The gearbox is the 8-speed ZF gearbox, which obviously we saw in the Speedster, which had the V12 as well, and they've taken the learnings from that and the F1 edition, and it's pretty good actually. As we always say, it does ultimately lack a bit of that snap perhaps from a dual clutch gearbox, but I haven't really had any complaints with it either. It's just an enjoyable car to drive, fast or slow. I love the extra sense of stiffness in the whole car and how flat it stays. So it really does feel surprisingly precise. Although I think you buy it for the engine, the chassis really shouldn't be overlooked. It is a car that just makes you want to go for a drive. No particular reason, just for the fun of it. Just because you enjoy driving, and you enjoy driving this.
The trouble is that as well as being the latest V12 Vantage, this is also going to be the last, and that makes me a little bit sad. The future is coming, a silent future. And while my knees will probably give out at some point and stop me running, I really hope that when that happens, there will still be cars that I want to take out just because I enjoy driving them. Cars like the V12 Vantage. Hello, just a quick apology from me. Some of you might have been eating some sort of heavy meal when my legs appeared on screen, so yes, my deepest apologies for that, but I hope you enjoyed the film nonetheless. Also, a quick request from me, because you might have noticed we're nearly at 1 million subscribers, so please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It is massively appreciated. Thank you very much. See you next time. I won't be running in the next one. I won't.